Prepare for Planting, a U.S. Farm Report special series, is brought to you exclusively by Bayer and Extendamax.
Well, some planting has already started in the southern states of the U.S., even with a few cold weather setbacks this year. But as the rest of the country gears up for the growing season, we are helping you set up your fields for success from the start. And this weekend, it's all about jump-starting your weed management plan as you prepare for planting. Lush winter wheat fields in the southeast corner of Kansas can be a little deceiving this year. Farmers here are still battling dryness, but it's also created a window of opportunity to prep fields for planting.
In this part of the country, we've got a lot of work done. All our anhydrous is on, probably is pretty much in this part of the world. We've done a lot of field work prepping for corn, getting ready to plant corn.
Last year's drought was so bad here, Dan Vitt says some of his soybean fields couldn't even be harvested. But a wet spring proved just as challenging, especially with getting an early start on controlling potential problems with weeds.
In 1984, when I was a senior in high school, we rode a 180 tractor and a 6-row cultivator back and forth, and the sprayer wasn't that big of a part of the farm operation, and now it's probably the most valuable piece of equipment on the farm.
Viewing his fields as a classroom, Vitt says each challenge also comes with valuable lessons.
On pretty much all our corn and bean ground, we went to a 2-pass pre-on-pre to trying to keep them from growing in the first place. And we try to start clean and stay clean.
Farm Journal field agronomist Ken Ferrie says a decade ago, a farmer had one herbicide program for corn and for soybeans. Today, that's vastly changed.
So many different facets to the herbicide program, and we're talking about variety selection or hybrids. We're talking about row spacing, planting date, application times.
As controlling weeds has become more complex, Ferrie says farmers' weed management plans should also be more robust.
But we just can't have a plan up here. As a farm operation, we got to put our plan together, and it needs to be on paper. It needs to be detailed, and then it needs to be shared with everybody in that farm operation.
From sprayer operators to those planting the seeds in the field, Ferrie says every person on your operation needs to know that plan.
We need a written plan. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be reviewed by everybody in the operation.
While Mother Nature can throw some curveballs throughout the season, Ferrie says consistency is key.
So with the full season plan, there's a lot of value in the concept of start clean and stay clean. So a situation where the full plan would have some residual in the pre-emergence, try to stop them before they even show up. Then you might be coming back and adding a residual to your post-application, trying to lengthen that process out.
Ferrie says one of the biggest misconceptions by growers is to wait until you see a weed problem pop up to respond.
But sometimes the scouting isn't as thorough as it should be. And guys are scouting from the pickup seat maybe, and they finally can see weeds from the pickup seat, and they decide that now's the time to spray. Then we get wind, we get rain, we get something in there, and all of a sudden we are a week later than what they wanted to be, and some of these weeds can grow a lot in a week's time.
The other factor farmers also tend to forget is the correlation between row spacing and weed control.
One of the challenges that we run into is, as farmers are putting the plan together, and you may be thinking weeds on this spectrum, and then somebody over here is thinking about planting, row spacing, population. We know from studies that we've done clear back in 1992 already that we can pull those bean populations below 120,000 and not affect yield, but we do affect weed control.
From reading the labels to tapping into the knowledge of your retailer, Ferrie says those are some of the biggest tools a grower can use throughout the season. And for Vitt, he's learned to keep an open mind.
Be open-minded and be willing to change. That's the biggest thing. You know, don't get too set in your ways, or sometimes it'll come back and haunt you. You got to be open-minded, listen to people, and sort through what fits your program the best.
And we'll continue to help you prepare for planting as this series will happen over the next few weeks.